Hey guys, welcome back to our COGs Musing calls that are roughly every other week. Again, this is Dr. Terrence McCullough and Dr. Brad Robinson and myself. And I was thinking about this the other day. Do we do these calls to talk to the other chiropractors that listen? And I think no, Terrence and I talked to each other last week when we didn't do one. I think I do them just because I want to talk to you guys.
Very good. Right.
I
Agreed.
want to get a sense of connection, and sometimes I even want to put things out there that I'm working on or struggling with or whatever. So, having said that, we had a conversation last week that essentially started with, I'll tell you how it started. I was talking to a young chiropractor who had a couple of weeks where he only saw one new patient, two new patients. So he's panicking. We talked about what he needed to do in order to get new patients in the door. Um, and it was based upon fear that it was all going away after 2 weeks. And it was based upon the urgency to do something, right? And so I got to thinking about it. We were talking about it. And I don't know where I landed on it. I don't think I ever did that. But then, I'm sure Brad said it a little while ago before we came on. We all did it to some degree, right? Um, whether it was the new patient volume was down and all of a sudden we're in the front office doing a new patient dance, right?
Right.
Or I had a banner that I would hang out that said accepting new patients when I was always accepting new patients. Was that fear or urgency? And the more I thought about it, I was always marketing, always looking at PVA, always looking at DVA. I was always working on it, but those guys that I coached for 20 some years never seemed that way with them. Seemed like they were always um, tilting at something, right? Whatever was the urgent thing that month. Um, I can think that I never stopped looking for new patients. I never stopped increasing my DVA. I never stopped trying to get my PVA up. And I'm wondering, we're is that just the three of us or the guys that we consider elite? Or I don't know. That's where I'm at. What do you guys think?
Well, I always thought so many of the other chiropractors that they're not immersed in being in practice all the time, right? That it's 9 to 5 or, they believe there's a separation. So that takes away some of the urgency. So even though we would talk about, or I know I've shared like, oh, you want to not just bring that home with you, so to speak. Like you don't want to come in the door after you've had a great day or a crappy day to your family and explode on them. You want to have some separation. But as I said, it was always going on in my mind. 1,000 a week, serve more people by serving more people. You go to bed thinking about it and you wake up thinking about it. So there was always an urgency, to use your word, Mike, to serve. And that urgency, so if you had 10 new patients that day, we would end the day and say, could we have seen one more? Or could we have adjusted one more patient today? And that sort of thought process. And I know it also evolved out of when you were sharing that story. I shared with you about the chiropractic group I was in. They were talking about how do you get people to not fall off during the holidays,
Ah, yeah, see,
right?
that's a great question, right?
Yeah. And my response to the chiropractic to the group was, well, the one answer that was given was, oh, you got to tell them, the holidays are more stressful and they need to be in. And, certainly we all know that's a very, as
It's true.
I told you, Mike, I called bullshit on that answer because it sounds great to chiropractors and we can kind of be like, yeah, they need to listen to us. Yeah, we know, as
Yeah.
opposed to, are you saying people need to be in all the time? Are you constantly doing that?
Yes.
So when the
Right.
holidays come around and you tell people to be in, that they just come in because you've created that urgency and expectation for them
All
over,
year.
over years or over the whole care plan. And they're actually, since we took so little time off, they're actually like my patient would be so happy we took Thanksgiving and the day after off that they
Hmm.
all looked all clustered. We'd have our three busiest
Yeah.
days
Yeah.
those 3 days before,
Yeah.
you know, just to stretch ourselves and and then go enjoy the time off. And but the same thing, I even said it's that's so chiropractic, the whole concept in that, well, if you're not practicing like a chiropractor in prevention, maintenance, health, then meaning you're telling people to get care all the time, then you're applying the crisis principle to your
Right.
practice. It's a
Right.
pain, then it's a pain
Yeah.
practice or a crisis practice or whatever. And I still think that's a very hard concept for people to appreciate. Um, Saying what the other chiropractor asked me about, well, what do you mean by that? So chiropractic or apply it? And I think I told you this, Mike. I looked at him. I said, well, actually, he's divorced. And I said, well, you didn't apply chiropractic principles to your marriage. You didn't nurture it on when it was going well.
Yeah. Right.
Didn't nurture it. When you had a bad time, you didn't nurture it. You didn't adjust it all the time or give it attention all the time. And so when it went down the crapper, you were trying to apply pain care and it didn't work.
Right. Right.
And, so to his credit, he said, I think I understand that better now.
Yeah. Right. Right.
But it goes across those. That's how I think about it
Yeah. Yeah.
with it.
Well,
And yeah, showing up. Yeah.
that's interesting because I think that's the way I thought about it too, but I don't know that I ever thought about it, you know? It just was, here's the word that I don't like. It was organic for whatever
What,
reasons. Yeah, it came from my
what you were
dad.
doing. Yeah. Yeah.
What do you think, Brett?
Oh, you're being proactive versus being reactive.
Yeah, yeah,
You
yeah.
know, when you're trying to educate patients and inspire them to be under regular care, that doesn't start November 1st or December 1st. It starts January 1st. And you have to, each and every visit, they have to be reminded why it's important for them to come in for each and every adjustment. And if they miss an adjustment, they need to make it up
Absolutely.
because psychologically, if they're missing visits, they're working their way out of your practice.
Yeah,
So what we need to do is remember that those people that have committed to our care, we have to just keep reinforcing that commitment. That's why the table talk is important. That's why the re-exam process is important. The end of the year process is so critical. Patients don't get it on the first visit. They don't get it on the 10th visit. They may get it after 500, but that's what it takes to be um, to inspire people to want to come through the holidays because they
yeah.
realize themselves they're better off because of that.
That's
Well,
why
you have
that's
to
why
tell them
Terrence,
too. Yeah.
yeah, that's why Terrence said it, and I always we did it in my office, and Brad, I know you did it in yours. That if I took Thursday and Friday off for Thanksgiving or whatever it was, those 3 days we stacked them.
Mhm.
And we stacked them so people didn't, they got their 3 visits in or two or whatever that number was. There's no question. You want to talk about that built importance, right? We're telling them how important the adjustment is, and then we're like, hey, we're leaving, you're going to miss a visit. Well, they're working their way out of that schedule at that point, right?
And it's the same when they go on vacation too. We
Sure,
always
sure.
had them double up their visits before and after their
Mhm,
vacation
mhm.
to create momentum before they leave and to catch up after they get
Yeah,
back.
yeah,
And again, it's more psychological than physiological. It's designed to retrain that mind at, oh yeah, it's my
mhm.
time to get adjusted. So I need to
Yep,
stick with the care plan. And that's what
yep,
we did. We made the care plans the the be all and end all of practice.
yep,
If you're gonna get better, you got to follow the care plan.
right. So I found early on in practice that the most critical, or I thought the most critical part of the year was leaving the Christmas holidays because people miss during the Christmas holidays. This is what I told myself, right? And I bought into this and I would probably only call the other chiropractors that bought into it too, that during the holidays, numbers went down because people were busy, they were running out of money. And then January 1st hit and they had deductibles. You remember this?
Yep.
and I bought in that January was going to suck because Christmas, nobody had any money. They didn't have any money for deductibles, and people would just disappear. And I can tell you probably the first, how many years, 10 years that I bought into that. So I built a Thanksgiving holiday special, and then I had a Christmas, party for the patients to build that momentum that actually did carry me through January. But what I found in looking back in hindsight is that as I got more mature, I didn't have to do that anymore. Did we still do it? Yeah, but that whole deductible thing went out the window,
Right.
Right.
because I just started living the lifestyle that I lived outside the office, inside the office. And Brad said that was being proactive, although I didn't, I wasn't labeling it back then. I was just being busy, right?
Yep.
You always had that
Doing,
mindset, growth mindset.
yeah,
You,
always,
you
always.
never you never cruised in your entire career. I
No,
don't remember you ever just laying
hmm.
back. And
I
one
never
of the things
cruised in my entire life.
we kept telling patients is subluxations don't take vacations.
Yeah, yeah, right, right.
So
Right.
Yeah.
so it's important for them to because it was important for me to express that to patients to get them to understand the reason why being under lifetime chiropractic care was so critical to their optimum levels of health and well-being.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I think about all the training that we've done through the years, and certainly in the triathlon training for years and years and years, I was taught to train my weakness, so I spent more time on the bike than I did in the water on my feet, right? And the reality is that my body type, I wasn't going to get much faster on the bike. I had no butt. My legs are small. Could I get better? Sure. But I put all this time into training the bike. And then I hired a coach and she said, I don't know what you're doing. Train your strengths.
Yep.
Train on the bike, yeah, to be fast, but get faster in the water and faster on your feet because that's where you flourish and then you make up the time. And I think I actually did that in the office too, man. I trained my strengths, which was the philosophy side as opposed to the science side. And
Well,
it's
also if you train your strengths, you will
more fun.
you'll drag your weaknesses up naturally.
Sure,
Correct.
Just
sure.
I mean that will happen, and
Yeah,
you will always improve on those things
everything will come
because
up.
yeah, the more you studied your philosophy, Mike,
Yeah,
it exposed more science, and you're
sure.
like, oh, this is why that makes sense. Same for myself. I mean, uh, just all those things just kept coming together because I was searching for a connection in them. And that
Yeah,
was sort of an inherent and wonderful. The other thing, and I like what you said about having then a promotion or you do something. I still think so many of the current practitioners, and I think the students we found at Life they lack they talk about it, but then there's an action step. They
sure.
need to have action. So those are great actions. So the other thing I said to the group, they talk about philosophy, and I'm like, you know what? Again, I was like in a mood, I guess. They said, I'll call bullshit on that too. I said, the philosophy is for us. I will keep saying that. The philosophy is for us to manifest, and you got to look for things to explain it to the patients that
Yes,
they understand.
yes,
The crooked tree or
yeah.
right, the rheostat or those sorts of things. But I said to all of them, this was Monday last week. I said, tomorrow in your practice, every patient go in when they're laying face down, put your right thumb on C5 and squeeze really hard. And then tell them there it is. And then explain to them what you're talking about. And then say, Bob, we still got work to do. I want you to get in for an extra adjustment this week. I said that's what I did all week,
Yeah,
every week, so that by the time Friday came around, I'd always said we'd have our busiest shift on Friday morning
all those
because
extra visits.
we'd see like 160, 170 people in the morning because all week I was telling people to come in and I said to the team last week to Terrence's group, I said, so what three things? I'm doing better. Bob, let's get you in for an extra one. Keep that momentum going. I'm doing the same. Bob, let's get you in for an
Yeah.
extra one. You really need it. I'm doing worse. Bob, let's get you in on Friday so the weekend goes better. You know,
How comfortable were you doing that?
completely comfortable
Yeah, yes,
because
absolutely.
who needs
An
more
extra visit.
more love or
Yeah.
more care. And then because my because and again this with the group I said, and because we did monthlies, however you structure that, I said I didn't have to talk to people about, or they didn't have to say to me, oh, that's an extra $40 or
Yeah.
whatever. I was
Yeah.
like, oh, and if that this comes up sometimes with Terrence, I'll be like, just tell him it's on me.
Yeah.
It's on me, or whatever. But that for me never came up because
Very
we had already
frequent.
worked that stuff out, and so they came,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
That's the difference between transactional and transformational.
thank you.
Transactional is that you got to come in again and pay me another $50.
Yep,
Transformational is come in there because you need the adjustment and we want you here for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
yep.
Love the way you tie things together like that, Brad. I'll talk all around it for an hour and you just get right to it.
Say less, mean more.
But remember, everything in
Always to
practice
live
net
on.
was everything's transactional now.
Yeah.
It's all
Yeah.
about
It is. It is.
closing and
Yeah. Yep.
right.
You know what,
Um,
Terrence?
yep.
You guys nailed it on the head right there. I was thinking about that in terms of the groups that we speak to and what the difference is in them compared to, let's say, us. And I'm not just talking about the three of us. I'm talking, and that's it. It's transactional for them and not
Mhm.
transitional.
Mhm.
That's huge. That's
Yep.
huge.
Yeah,
Yep.
because every consultant, everything out there now is about how much, see fewer people, charge more, work less.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
everybody, I tell my son all the time, you should work more, charge less, and
Yeah.
see more people. I said,
And
if you were willing to do that, you will, people will flock to you
mhm.
because you are different, and they will smell you out and find you because that's what people want. They want more love, they want more service, they want more care because it's not happening anywhere
Yeah.
for anybody because everybody leads with their transactional hand first.
Yep. So, I was having this thought a little while ago while you were talking, and this kind of translates is I worked I worked hard and probably, more than or more hours than most at times because I was having fun.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I was in love with what I was doing. Same thing with the training, right? I love to run, I love to swim. So training those was more fun. Was working harder, was more fun, and it's same in practice. I was having fun, so I was working hard. So then that begs the question, are they not wanting to work harder because they're not having fun?
Well, remember, working hard is has been changed into a bad thing,
You're right.
right? Not to get into the politics of it, but some have even suggested it's a racist thing to work hard, right?
Yeah,
To
right.
to put your nose to the grindstone or whatever it might be. I mean, even with my
Was
son,
an interesting
some of
concept.
my sons talked about how how I don't want to say what the right word is, but like my one son got 16 weeks of paternity leave.
Yeah, right.
And I even said to them, I said, well, I got a half a day when Sam was born, only because another chiropractor was visiting me, and Sam was born at just before midnight on Sunday, and this guy Jerry said, well, I'll go in for you for the morning. I got the morning free, and I was like, that's wow. I mean, and I trusted him. He was a good adjuster, right? It was no, whatever. It was going to be fine. But I didn't expect anything. My wife didn't
Yeah.
expect anything different from that. And I don't understand the necessity of it. Again, you guys know, babies. What are you going to do with a baby? You look at them, you feed them, they sleep, they poop, that sort of stuff. But you understand what I'm saying. It
Yeah,
was
I do. I do.
hard work is thought of as a bad thing in some place. And so same thing, if you can be more contrarian in your approach, you're going to be way more successful. Why do they say immigrants are more successful when they come here? Right? Because
Mhm.
they're willing to work hard. Um, it's not a bad word in their culture.
Here's a little plug. The last chapter in my book is work hard.
Yes. Yep. Absolutely. Yep.
You
Yeah.
know,
And you said it, work hard, play hard,
yeah,
so conversely, I can
Have
remember
fun.
I always say on Fridays, I would meet my brother-in-law, this pub, and the kids would all be eating and whatever we'd have. And I acknowledge he would look at me, he'd have a beer in his hand and say, "Hey, this is a great time. We're as far away from Monday as we possibly can be." And I get that. I mean,
Yeah.
right? We all, and I understood it, and we'd smile. And in turn, we would kid, I'd sometimes call him at 4 or 5 o'clock on Sunday, and I'd say, "Time to start worrying,"
Yeah. Yeah. We're as
but
far away from Friday as you can be.
correct, in the same breath. But that, once I changed that worry to preparation, or, you know,
Yeah.
just thinking, again, thinking about service, thinking urgency, that sort of stuff, then it's one little mind tweak that
Well,
changes that's
yeah.
wisdom. That's wisdom and perspective, and
Yeah.
it's like I said, Mike, experience.
Maturity.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's those opportunities are everywhere. The same with I I wrote it
Yeah.
down. The ten
Here.
the ten the 10,000 hours fallacy, right? You guys know that one,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Yeah.
But they always forget to mention it's 10,000 hours of deliberate practice, right?
Mhm.
Very focused towards a particular goal, which isn't an end point, just the next
Yeah.
point.
Yeah.
And you said it, Mike, and you enjoy that
Mhm.
practice, or
Mhm.
that, you know, that's really the secret. You have
Yeah.
to, and how,
Well,
what, how do you get to enjoy it? You might not in the beginning, but if you keep at it for that stuff, all of a sudden you start to embrace your time in the saddle, or the time on
yeah.
the road, or the swim, or scripting, or inspiring, or adjusting, or seeing more people, or whatever it might be.
Well, it's 10,000 hours of learning and positive results, right? Ultimately. Ultimately. Not always positive, but yeah, for the most part, towards a positive end result. So,
Yep.
I think Dan Millman said, practice doesn't make perfect, perfect practice
yeah,
makes
yeah,
perfect.
yeah.
And you
Yeah.
have to
Well,
have that mentality that you're pushing yourself and driving yourself and growing as an individual and growing your team to handle it too.
Hmm. Yeah.
And taking care of the side stuff. One thing that I noticed is whenever I started cleaning up clutter in my office or my drawers, the new patients just started to seem to come out of the woodwork.
Yeah. It's energy, man. Right.
Yeah, it's because I was opening up to the universe that,
Mhm.
hey, we're ready to serve more people.
Yeah.
And it's a mindset.
Yep. Yep.
that's a old Catherine Ponder, right? Right? Remember her? She would say, "Go clean your closet.
Yeah.
Go release some things,
Yep.
right? Let it go. Let go your attachment.
You're right.
It's all the
Create a void.
yep. Create the
Same
void.
concept. Yep.
Yep. Absolutely. No, it's very powerful. So many action steps for people, but it's just that persistence in doing it, right?
Hmm.
I think that's the other thing. Of course, we can pat ourselves on the back, but there was a persistence in us that I think that our generation knew we were going to be in it for a long time.
Hmm.
Uh, I think the three of us are very blessed to be where we're at.
Yeah. No
Same
question.
thing. It's the same thing with it. People will say, "Mike, you're lucky," or "Brad, you're lucky."
Yeah.
At myself, I hear that. I'm like, well, yeah, but I think I worked hard at that luck,
Yeah.
and
Did the work.
yeah, it's okay. I still drive it back to the same thing. As a chiropractor, we're not going to be like we're not going to have three vacation homes. We're not going to have able to take months off at a time. You're going to work 50 weeks out of the year,
Hmm.
but that's okay because it's fun.
Yeah. Yeah. Look, and the reality is, I mean, how many actual working hours were we there? 28, 30? Now there were hours put in afterwards, but I look at my daughter-in-law that's doing 70, 80. She loves what she's doing. Absolutely loves what she's doing. But we didn't do 70 hours. I
Not at
never did
all.
70 hours.
In fact, Sam said he
I
did.
probably had more hours than you guys did, but that
Yeah.
was
Sam
me.
said he didn't want to be a chiropractor because I worked too hard.
I
Watching growing up, and then he realized I was only in the office 28 hours a week.
yeah.
And
You
then,
worked your ass off those 28 hours.
Yeah, and we did a lot. We went in on Sundays and did prep,
Mhm.
got ready for the following week because we wanted to go in, walk in there on Monday morning ready to rock and roll. When the door
Mhm.
opened, we were ready to serve. And you have to take care of the lack of better word, the paperwork, the details on the weekends.
Yeah. It's interesting because I think about you two guys and some of our other buddies. We worked hard, but I think about what we did outside the office, and we played damn hard too.
Oh my goodness, yes.
We did. We had a lot of fun in the office. It was like a party in the office, but when we were not in the office, that carried over too.
And we
You
got to
know?
talk about how we can't wait to get back to the office.
Yeah, I mean Monday was never a drag for me.
It was
It,
thank God it's Monday, not thank God it's Friday.
yeah, I mean the only thing that was ever a drag for me was maybe sometimes stopping what I was doing on Sunday to prep for Monday. That could be a bit of a drag, but Monday mornings were never a drag
Mhm.
for me, you
Mm.
know. So, but I did
No,
enjoy Friday and Saturday.
yeah,
You know,
absolutely.
I mean, it
But
wasn't uncommon. You guys know, it wasn't uncommon for me not for me to have 100 people in my backyard. We played hard. We had
yeah,
fun.
yeah,
Mhm.
it's
We
good.
did.
You
Yep.
should.
And
Yeah.
You
we
do
used
and you
that
should.
time off to prepare ourselves so we could go back to Monday. It wasn't that we had to get away. It was is the
No.
vacation time and the relaxation time was okay, now I'm gonna get my rest in, get my recreation in, and then go
Yeah.
get
Yeah.
ready to go back and serve.
Well, think about that playtime, right? In my yard. How many chiropractors were in that yard?
Oh, dozens. Yeah.
Were we talking chiropractic? Yeah. Were we living the lifestyle? Yeah.
Yep.
Yep. Almost every Friday after work for me was spent with Dawn and Steve on a mountain bike and two chiropractors. Guess what we were doing?
Right.
We were playing, but and we were having beers afterwards, but we were talking about chiropractic
Mhm.
in the
Sure.
office. So I had other friends too, you know. But
That's good. I did not.
well, you had
Yeah,
six,
you're a
five kids,
unicorn.
so your friend, you built your own friends, made your own friends.
That's like uh, Sam was home a few weeks ago, and he was sitting and said something about that we sent him to private school and all that, and he said, "Well, Dad, what would be different for you if you hadn't sent us to those schools?" And I said, "I'd be wealthy."
Yeah. Yeah. Look, I'm rich, but I'd have been wealthy.
I'd be
No question. I sat down with Luke one time, not too long ago, and we were talking about something. I said, "Well, let's get out a piece of paper and figure out what your tuitions cost me and relatively." And he was like, "No, I don't think I want to do that." So,
at the yeah Glen Oak. They used to say when our check came, the lady would thank my wife. It's like, "Oh, we can run the school for another couple days here." Yeah, I'm like, "Yeah, don't
I
tell me
know.
that. I don't want to hear that."
I I can run the cool school another couple days. Yeah. I remember when Hannah first went to college, and we were so excited because she got a full ride. And I looked at Lisa and said, "All that money we've been putting away from college, we just got a raise."
Yep.
Mhm.
And you gotta love my wife. She was like, "That's Hannah's money."
Ha, ha.
Like,
That's funny.
okay. She
That's
earned it,
funny.
right?
That's good. That's good.
Whatever.
Well,
Well,
good
cool.
stuff. Well, I
So
hope
let me
this
tie
helps
this together, Mike.
With
some
that,
young person out there.
well, listen, I think the takeaway from this for me is transitional versus transformational. That's the takeaway for me. I don't think I ever put it in those specific terms. I think most chiropractors right now are transitional. I think they
Transactional,
transactional. I
right?
say transitional, transactional. Thank you. I guess it wasn't that big of a takeaway.
Ah,
It's just a new word for you.
Yeah, transactional. I think most of them are transactional, and I think they need to work more towards being transformational. See, I'm so transformational, I don't even like the other word.
There you go.
ah,
So, yeah, so homework. Look, it's the same every couple of weeks when they do this. Share this with somebody, listen to it a couple times, do something to make you more transformational. And that goes with the three of us also, right?
yep.
Absolutely.
So,
Rewire, don't retire.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right. We need to be a little more promotional, the three of us, and I worked on that over the last 2 weeks too. So I wouldn't be surprised if we don't see some videos from the Sherman kids here
Good.
shortly.
Cool.
So, yeah,
Very cool.
be nice. Excellent. All right, guys,
All right, guys.
go have some fun today.
Until next time,
Absolutely.
Love you guys.
Happy Thanksgiving.
happy
Yeah, man.
Thanksgiving.
Bye, Ray.